Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Marcotte. I'm an executive solution engineer at SAP and I'm responsible for the real estate and construction industries. Today I'd like to introduce you to Alex Simmons. He's a building manager responsible for Tower C here at the Hudson Yards. And Alex is really responsible for making sure that this building performs at its optimal performance, right, at its best. What Alex understands, like a lot of other building managers around the country, is that there's a need to understand all of the data that's being produced from this building, okay? There are many, many data points that we can collect off of a building, and the slide in front of you shows some of those data points. And there's two things that we need to do with data that's collected from a building. We need to be able to provide the ability to analyze this data, and we need to be able to provide the ability to act on this data. So I've been told by several customers that actionable intelligence is what we need, that if we only understand the data, that really doesn't do us a lot of good. So, and the value that that's going to drive to building owners and organizations is the ability for this to operate more effectively, to reduce energy costs, to improve tenant comfort and tenant satisfaction, and ultimately improve your tenant retention. What we're going to show you today as well, removing human intervention will enable you to do more with less, right? Because we're going to be able to communicate with the building, so you'll have the ability to impact the building with less people, quite honestly. Okay, so before we do that, what we're going to do today is we've got a sensor in the top of this building, right? So with this sensor, we're going to read heat from a circulation pump. Okay? Heat is a good indicator that something is going wrong in a circulation pump that needs attention. But before we do that, what we want to do is take this up a level, if you will, and be able to analyze multiple buildings and assess the performance of multiple buildings. So what you'll see here, we've come into a dashboard where across the top we've got multiple readings from different data sources, right? So security is a big concern in a lot of buildings, and being able to read security data, energy data, fire alarm data, and as we're going to show you in a little bit, the ability to read sensors off of equipment. The amount of data that we can read from a building is numerous, very, very many different data points, okay? But what we want to do with this data then is the ability to look at it from a portfolio view, but then also the ability to drill into an individual property or an individual building. So you'll notice that when we come in, you can color code and provide, hey, there's something going on in this tower right here that we need to address, right? And over on the right-hand side, you can see that you can drill down into those buildings to see the energy consumption or the maintenance count. So the ability for a building manager or a regional manager to see multiple buildings and the energy consumption, the ability to set thresholds for that energy consumption, that, hey, if I'm consuming energy beyond this threshold, we need to know about it. As we continue to drill down into Tower C here, we get visibility into different areas of the building. Okay, so we get areas into the mechanical floors, as well as all of the tenant floors. Now here's where we're going to start looking at this sensor, right? The sensor, if I shake it, you'll notice that we're tracking vibration here, and if we shake it, the vibration goes red. So what this is doing is showing you that we can interact with the data from this building real time. You can see that the heat is going up on this sensor as well. If I can release some of my own hot air, we can probably impact the temperature on this sensor, and it'll increase as well. So this provides us the ability then to assess how that pump is performing. You can see the large peak in heat that this pump was delivering, and you can see that we've identified thresholds for this. And so in a few minutes we're going to show you what does that mean when the heat leaves this threshold. This is an acceptable threshold. You can see I'm not blowing on it, and now the heat is going back down. So this is all real time, your ability to real time connect with this building. Nobody had to look at that pump or say, hey, we got an issue with that pump. The pump told us that there was an issue. Okay, so remember I told you we need to analyze this data. Okay, so we've seen this from an analysis perspective. You maybe want to start taking a look at financial data associated with this. So you can come in and drill down into a hierarchical roll-up of energy costs. What's impacting that energy cost, the consumption and the price, and a combination of those. So now you're combining financial data with the maintenance data to understand the impact on your organization. And finally, the thing that we need to do with the data is take action on this data, right? So we need to have actionable intelligence. The first thing that we're going to enable an organization to do is understand where that equipment is. When we need to go in and repair that equipment, there may be things that we need to know. So from the dashboard that we were alerted that there was something wrong with this equipment, we are able to pull up a 3D model. This is actually a rendering of a 3D model from this building. This is this mechanical floor. And if I'm going to send a technician out there, perhaps the first thing that we need to understand is, where is this pump? Where is the pump in the mechanical floor? Are there any obstructions to getting to the pump? Is there any considerations that we need to have around dust or water or anything like that? And this gives us the ability to view that from a rendering of the actual mechanical floor. And the best part about that is that when we're reading the data and generating the activity, then that model is available to us real time as well. So we've assessed the data. We saw that the heat on the pump was going up, and we need to go out and address that. So the other thing that reading the data from the sensor did for us real time was it created a work order automatically. So it enabled that technician then to receive a work order on their mobile device. They can then be dispatched out to repair the pump. Okay, so the data said, okay, well, we've got this pump that's malfunctioning. We've got the equipment. We've identified the equipment here. It's a water pump. You know who the manufacturer is, so it's giving you information about that. The work order that's generated automatically can also come in. It shows the location, so we know exactly where to go. It shows some work order notes. It provides the ability to set up standard operations. So, hey, when you get to the pump, you got to shut it down. You need to assess whatever that might be. But more importantly, enabling the technician to complete the work, we provide the ability then. We saw a rendering of the mechanical room. We've also got a rendering or a 3D model of that actual pump. So when the technician gets to the mechanical room and they need to understand what's going on with this pump, on their mobile device, they've got a work order, and they pull up the work order and they can see the actual pump and how it's put together and maybe what parts need to be addressed, right? So they can come in and start analyzing and assessing what needs to be done with the pump. Let's say that it's this gear that's wrong, or that's failing, right? And they need to replace that gear. They can simply click on it, and the SAP solution knows the part number for that. Okay, so maybe they have it in their bag and they can replace it right there and add that cost to the work order, again giving financial visibility to this maintenance issue. Or maybe they need to order that part, and to streamline that process and make sure we get this circulation pump fixed as quickly as possible, they could punch out from here to the Ariba network and order the part from one of the vendors on the Ariba network. And that's true integration between this mobile solution and the Ariba network to enable them to do that real time. So as you can see from this work order, what we've enabled the technician to do is receive the data, receive the work order that the data produced, and understand exactly what they need to do to get the pump fixed. Okay, very, very powerful, because now there's not any going back and forth and not understanding what needs to be done. So if we come back to our dashboard, I just want to summarize for you that we've seen the ability to analyze multiple data sources and do different things with those data sources. The ability to drill down into buildings and understand the issues. The ability to communicate directly with the building via a sensor. Okay? One of the things I didn't mention previously is that we can also, through this experience right here, directly interact with your building management system, right? They're already doing a lot of work for you. So why not just expose the head end of the building management system through this solution and use that as well to remotely communicate with the equipment? Maybe we don't even need to send a technician out with a work order. Perhaps you can adjust the equipment remotely through the building management system. So SAP is providing you the ability to communicate with this building real time. Okay, what we've seen is the MII dashboard right here that is enabled us by receiving the data. That MII solution received the data on the HANA platform, right? So leveraging the HANA platform, the MII solution received the data, enabled us to analyze it. We also leveraged the SAP 3D Visual Enterprise to bring up the rendering of the mechanical floor, as well as the rendering of the pump on the mobile work order. And then we also saw the SAP Work Manager in action with the ability for that technician to complete the work order real time. So that's a very powerful story around maintaining the operations of this building. In closing, what we've seen here today is how the SAP digital platform can help you to manage your own buildings and properties like never before. Thank you.